No, this is still who are the memory millionaires and why am I listening to them? Megan chooses an experience, includes the discomfort, and does not make that the reason she sways from the experience.
Because the experience and the discomfort of the experience are...
That's the yin and yang. That's the duality.
I mean, that's life. If we're not experiencing all the hard, challenging parts of life, then, how do we get to... Does everything just become level where there's good life that's happening
peaks,
there's
no valleys.
There's no joy and appreciation for it.
Hi, I'm Ian.
And I'm Megan.
Welcome back, or welcome to
the Memory Millionaires Podcast.
We are survivors of government service,
cancer,
world travel,
and parenting. We're here to share stories and insights to help illuminate your path towards a happier, healthier lifestyle.
Well, it's a date night podcast. It's not ice cream. Oh, this is going to be messy.
Here
what? Cheers?
I was going to trade you because this is the flavor I'm excited about.
Okay. I'm just not excited about making a...
Don't make a mess.
The water mess?
Yeah.
The weeping?
Now cheers.
Date night.
Peanut butter chocolate cookie crush. Thanks to Shay for the recommendation. Why are we eating ice cream?
Cornflake, chocolate chip, marshmallow. Really doesn't taste like any of those things. Anyway.
This tastes like all of the things.
Because it's date night.
It's date night.
In our mid-30s, we found it complimentary to go to Thai food and see the water and just be you and me. And afterwards, felt a sweet tooth, and you had gotten a recommendation for some crazy good ice cream, and
I'm also very pregnant.
Grocery shopping at the same time.
And ice cream is what sounded good. And I feel like if something sounds good, at this point, I should probably eat it.
Ice cream fits.
So, ice cream it is.
Speaking of pregnant.
Yes.
Well, we had a lot of good back and forth. I really like you. I really admire you, too.
I like you, too.
And it was for... Specifically what I brought up in dinner was that a lot of people approach birth far differently than you do, even since the beginning. Even since you thought you could be a mom and might give birth someday, you thought about it differently than what's in the movies, what comes from your, friends and loved ones that are, they're trying not to experience it. They're trying not to feel any of it. They're trying to avoid it, the hard parts.
What do you mean by it?
The birth.
Oh, the actual labor and delivery of... Mm-hmm. I think that women have been conditioned. Maybe everyone's been conditioned, but I think women have been conditioned to seek that relief in labor, and we've been shown these images throughout our lives, whether it was on TV or in a movie or something you read about in a magazine, that labor is something really hard and something that you should dread and something that you should not suffer through.
Should not suffer through. Because all they show is suffering?
Because you see suffering, and then you're either told or it's implied that, but then there's the relief.
It's always super dramatic. There's... in the back of a taxi cab, or
there's people screaming.
Things are getting kicked over.
So we're giving these I didn't have a lot of exposure to birth, but
what do you mean, growing up?
Growing up, but the exposure I did have had all the same messaging, which is that birth is hard and it's something that we need relief from.
What changed your mind? Why did when you began to think about something coming out of you that is going to have to squeeze its way through your bones, you were like, I'm gonna do that. I'm going to do that fully. Whereas, yeah, so many people are like, yeah, but there's a thing over here that everything happens, but you just don't feel it.
I know what I thought about was the whole of human experience and how we got to where we are today. And that having the luxury of the comfort measures, such as, like specifically thinking of an epidural in mind, or even a C-section.
Yeah, scheduled birth is what I'm thinking of, really. Not that if you did it that way, it was the wrong way to do it. I'm merely commenting on her and how she chose the path that wasn't that and wasn't going to have that. So those that did, I know why. I just said it. Something's coming out of my body and it's going to squeeze through my bones.
And he shuddered.
Yeah. I don't know if I could walk into that willingly, but this is Megan motherfucking Leinstein. Oh, now it's going to have explicit.
So my thought process was, we have a lot more history as humans of this happening without any interference. If we are alive in 2023, we're alive and thriving and doing very well. Think of all the generations of women that had to have children without any relief. And not saying that it went great every time, not saying that they enjoyed it, but in my mind, my thought is, this is an experience. My entire pregnancy has been an experience. Birth is the like party at the end of that experience. Yeah, before the baby comes. The labor and delivery is the culmination that like, fuck yeah, we did it. We're doing it.
Let's go have this baby.
Let's have this baby. And that's not an experience that I wanted to bypass in any way. I wanted to fully experience what it was to be in my power. Because I believe that women are strong and capable of so many things, but our bodies are made to have babies. My body was created in such a way that growing and birthing a human is one of my powers. You and half the world's population will never be able to do that. At least I don't think so. But
how would
anyway,
I would get to do that? I don't know.
So why would I? And you know, the number of pregnancies that I can have in my life is fairly limited. I mean, yes, we could keep having babies.
Oh yeah, there are those people with like 20 children.
But it's fairly limited, and why would I? So now, like, this is 3 times in my lifetime I get this experience. Why wouldn't I want to fully be in that moment? That's my mindset. Why would I want to take away from feeling what it feels like, experience all the roller coaster of emotion, and you know, the surges come and things feel very uncomfortable.
You said in there somewhere. No, I don't.
And then the surge is over and everything's okay, and I can totally handle that for the minute that it happened. But then you get into that next.
So you're saying Sully was not just one of those spikes in frequency. It was all of them together in one massive peak.
Yes. That's what
Holy
Sully
crap.
was like.
Sully, man.
I had the waves that I was writing while I was in labor with Colin. Okay, things really, really awful. I don't want to do this. Let's go home.
Yeah.
And all of that was packed into...
This isn't a good idea.
All of that was packed into about 25 minutes with Sully. There was... Oh, something's going on here. Oh, I'm in labor. And then there was 10 minutes of, this is impossible. That was what was in my mind, was there is absolutely no way I can go through this unmedicated, because in my mind, labor doesn't happen in 20 minutes. Labor happens in hours. So when I got to that point of, now I've been at this peak for 7 minutes, I can't do this for another, I don't think at that point I believed I could do it for another 7 minutes. But I didn't realize that that was going to be, there's a baby coming right now.
What if it was 5? You know, what were you going to say and do? What if it was the other 7? It was 5 was trying to be creative, but what if it was the other 7?
Another 7 minutes?
And there's no ambulance.
Well, yeah, there was, I mean, there wasn't anything that I could do other than be in that moment, and I would have found a way to work through that. Like,
You bite me? What would you do?
I honestly have no idea what I would have done.
I
But
get you a sock?
with that
Bite
first
down
7
on it?
minutes, when I was feeling the pressure and the stress of it, that's when you were there to say, hey, put your arms over the ball, like, bear down, don't, you reminded me to breathe. All of that was an experience.
I barely remember the ball. I barely remember what happened in between me kind of waking up. I knew you got up, and I knew you went to the bathroom, and I was going back. I was nearly back asleep when I heard you come out of the bathroom again. And I think you made a sound and came to the ground. That's when I started coming out of that near sleep state, thinking, oh, this might be a contraction. I'll have to start the contraction timer for her. And then you say, I think you made a bigger noise, and it was me getting up. And then it was not. From there till Sully being there, it feels like I put clothes on, turned around, and caught Sully. I know I made a phone call. I found a phone. I got you the ball.
You got me the ball. You got me the ball. You got me on the ball. I got through that contraction. And then you made the phone call. But in the time that it took you to dial a number and get to voicemail,
Yeah, there was another contraction.
there was another contraction already coming, and it was...
Hi, Andy. We've got some big feeling contractions and a mama that says,
No, yeah, there's a baby right there.
there's a baby coming. Holy cow, there's a baby coming.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Andy, see you soon.
with Sully. Coming right now. So...
Suddenly, man. I hope you watch this someday, buddy. I hope you watch all the stories.
I just think of that as another experience I've had in my life that is very unique and makes me who I am. I know in that circumstance, no woman would have been able to receive pain relief because of how fast things happen.
Ah, interesting. So your adamancy and advocacy was out the window for that experience anyway. Your willingness didn't matter. You were having a baby at home. We planned a home birth, but even if we didn't plan a home birth, you were having one.
Yeah, in that instance, there was no
That's actually kind of wild to think
There
about.
was no choice in what I wanted. It was happening. And
Is that some premonition that you had? You're like, no, I need to have a home birth. My future is defined.
no, because my view of birth is that if everything is going normal, everything progresses fine throughout a pregnancy, I don't see it as an event that requires the necessity of being in a hospital. And I know
What does it equate to otherwise? Chicken pox? You know, like you don't have to go to the... I'm not serious. I know it's not like chicken pox. I'm looking at the camera saying this. But like what other level of home capable medical event would it equate to?
it's the two. It's the birth and the death.
Ah.
You're
Oh, dang. Yeah.
the beginning and the ending of life, which in my opinion you shouldn't absolutely not be around in a hospital in the highly
Yeah.
unnatural environment for either one of those events. Now
Yeah,
I
but what if you
understand.
have a killer infection and you just want to feel
Right.
nice?
I
again?
understand that there are circumstances that necessitate care in either one of those cases, but
I know a lot of nurses, I know a lot of doctors, they care. That's what they're doing all day, is caring.
but looking at the typical birth without any interventions, how many of those there's nothing remarkable. Now we're going off on a tangent somewhere else, right? Like, I chose a home birth because I am uncomfortable in a hospital. I don't want to be in a hospital, and I believe that my body, in my pregnancy, it is safe to be at home. I think most women are probably safe to be at home, but that's not normal.
And probably not for bad reasons. They're not, this isn't malice that is making these women go seek care.
No, definitely not.
And it's not even necessarily ignorance. There's a lot of what's the right word for it?
But if you learn about the history of medical care and especially obstetrics in the United States, well, in modern civilization in general, but specifically in the United States, there's a lot of misguided actions.
You don't drive her to the hospital, her uterus will fall out.
There's a lot of things that have been done wrong in the past. And I know that as we learn, those things have changed, but I still just don't think that a normal, healthy pregnancy is something that necessitates hospital stay.
Right, because
Like,
you know that we made it through the ages where that wasn't possible, and midwifery was actually a lady in the village that was good at
yeah,
doing
or
it.
maybe she's the lady in the village that's had the most kids, or maybe
Right.
it's the lady who's the oldest and has been to the most births, right? There was no specialty in obstetrics. There was
Right, but that's where I was there. It is a blessing to have this level of care available for anyone who has a kid.
definitely in the
But
ability to
we've
have
gone
that.
beyond this line of complementary.
I believe that for myself,
Okay, yeah, certainly.
it's
It's not a every woman thing.
that it was not complimentary to me to choose to birth in a hospital. That's to me. In addition to that, there's also, I didn't believe it was complimentary to me to receive any kind of pain medication. I'm induction, so any kind of pitocin, or an epidural for
It
any
wasn't-
kind of pain relief.
It wasn't complimentary to your experience, which you wanted the experience to be full experience, right?
Yes, and this is
Timeless experience, like where this is the way women have felt.
that there is that bit of, well, if they've done it, I can do it. And that's just kind of always the mentality I've had, is if someone else can accomplish this thing, I can probably accomplish this thing, especially if it's common. But there's also this bit of wanting to live the full experience of, I want to know what it feels like to have the contractions, and I want to know what it's like to be in full control of my body and trust
For full uncontrolled.
the
You don't get
trust
to-
and sensations
You don't get to turn it off, right?
to push, right? I didn't have to have someone tell me to push. I knew when it was time to push. And in a situation with Sully, I may have been coached, if we had had the ability to be in a hospital, or if that circumstance had arisen where I was in a hospital, I might have had someone telling me, no, you can't push, but that's not what my body was doing.
Well, so then not only are you not in control of your body, but you're not in control of your environment, which is telling you that your body's wrong.
Right.
So now what do? Well, you're not. The brain's detached from that.
Right.
Like, that's happening.
And
You don't have top-down control over that. Well, maybe you do, but
I also am the type of person that I choose to put myself into situations that can be uncomfortable.
yeah, this is what else you said. The
I
100-miler was what?
think between the 12-hour run I did and the 100-mile runs I've done, those events are the most similar physical events to birth. I
So, guys,
cried.
if you want to have an experience that's like birth, sign up for a 100-miler.
I cried. I tried to quit. I was probably very irrational.
You're listing things that have happened in both 100
Yeah.
milers and birth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
You ate snacks that you normally wouldn't.
yeah, and
Got shots? No. Antibiotics? No.
physically, both totally different, but both the most physically arduous, difficult things I've ever done. Very different time spans for all of them, from a 23-minute labor to a 42-hour 100-mile run. But
This is the testament to the character you're describing when approaching
an
event, an experience.
right, the 12-hour event that I came up with for myself to do. There was no way of saying, I did this thing, I ran 12 hours without experiencing all the hard stuff in the middle. And I understood that I was going to feel the hard stuff in there. There might be times when I'm in pain and I want to quit. There are going to be times when I don't want to get up out of the chair and go. This is going to be hard. I went into birth with a similar mentality of, okay, I'm going to be experiencing something I've never experienced before, and a whole lot of people and a whole lot of media have told me it's going to hurt really bad.
Get scared.
But I'm never going to know what that actually is and what it actually feels like unless I do it. Just me. And it wasn't just me. I had you. I had Angie.
Trusted, experienced people.
But if
Eventually
I
they were
hadn't
trusted.
done that without the other inputs, I would never know what actually does labor and birth feel like. And now in my experience, I know it feels different every time, right? So I'm going to get to experience a third time delivering a child, and I have no idea what to expect. I just know that
However,
I don't want to take away the chance that I can fully experience every part of that.
however uncomfortable that may be making you feel, because she's not unlike you, who is listening to this and saying, yeah, but that's going toward discomfort. She recognizes that as part of the plan. So this value we have, that we see discomfort and go toward it and go through it rather than minimize it. Well, I guess we do minimize it.
Well, this is a different type of discomfort, I think, than other discomforts.
But it's a test that's your character. That's the character that we say we hold, or quality that we say we hold and can help others get to, is plan for the discomfort and choose it. shy from it. When
Well-
it comes up in the plan, it is part of it. You can't go to the other side of it without it. You can't run 100-miler on painkillers.
Right, and is there the space and the opportunity to find comfort within your discomfort? Because I didn't experience that in Sully's birth, but I experienced it in Colin's birth of
Finding comfort in discomfort.
finding the comfort in that of, okay, I know it's coming and it's really going to suck, but it's only going to be a minute. And then the comfort of each time that there's less, each instance that there's less time in between these peaks of contractions, that means, yes, I have less time to recover, but also that means I have less time until I see our baby.
Did you really
So-
think that? Like in the trough, you were like, oh, the baby's going to be here soon. Colin's going to be here soon.
So as the contractions coming,
With Pal. Pal's going to be here soon.
as the contractions coming, and I know, okay, this is going to get worse and worse and worse. I'm trying to remind myself as this gets worse, I'm getting closer and closer to having the prize, which is my baby, which is what we've been waiting for. So, even in all of
do that again in like any minute.
even in the discomfort, I was able to find what's the benefit of this discomfort.
Okay.
Right?
So it's not hellish.
No, there was no. I mean, I definitely.
There's hellish things out there, but it's not the ones you choose.
Yeah. Honestly, I think if labor were so terrible,
Yeah, there's only
I
one
would
baby.
not. Yeah, I would not. No, I don't think.
From the outside, that's where I attest. 2, women don't remember.
Yes, there is that bit of not remembering, but if it were really so bad,
It would break people.
yeah, I think it would break people.
It would have broke enough women that they wouldn't do it, and we wouldn't have survived.
Possible, yeah.
If it really, because that is like physically, if it broke more than 50% of the women who were pregnant, then we would not have progressed.
Right, so
Maybe in some places it did. That's wild to think about. If it was that's just time, like the Inca went out with time. Was it Inca? That disappeared out of the...
I don't remember.
Mayan?
The Mayans, the Aztecs, they all kind of just.
Some whole race just disappeared.
Yeah.
Probably because of disease, probably because of conquerors. And maybe their ladies just didn't have... Anyway.
But so
Ice cream.
how did
Date night.
how did the challenge of an unmedicated childbirth make me stronger?
No, this is still who are the memory millionaires and why am I listening to them? Megan chooses an experience, includes the discomfort, and does not make that the reason she sways from the experience.
Because the experience and the discomfort of the experience are.
That's the yin and yang. That's
yeah.
that's the duality.
I mean, that's life. If we're not experiencing all the hard, challenging parts of life, then, how do we get to... Does everything just become level where the
There's
good
no-
life that's
There's
happening
no peaks.
is no...
There's no valleys.
There's no joy and appreciation for it.
I think that's what's happening to people, and they are peaks and valleys, but they're this real, hardly tangible. Like, oh no, Game of Thrones ended. All right, well, there's a new show coming out.
Yeah.
I can watch that now. I feel better. A president became president. I didn't want to. Oh, I'm so low, and now
4 years later, there's...
4 years later, there's the one I want, and then that's... In reality, it's not bringing them through peaks and valleys. It's bringing them through lulls, like little broad wavelengths, instead of these real lived experiences of, I just delivered my own baby in a bedroom. Peak to, I don't know, what's a low you felt
Well,
in the last
almost
5 years?
exactly. Well, I mean, there's been lots of lows. We've had people we love pass away. We've had things that we wanted to do, not come to fruition.
What's one of your lows? What's one of your valleys?
One of my valleys. My dad passing away. Dropping out of a 100-mile race. Not making the strides with my coaching business that I had envisioned.
So some what am I getting? What's the word I'm looking for? It's a frequency. Like if I'm making a sine wave or a wave, it's peaks and valleys. And then frequency is how
close they are together.
how close they are together. But what's
Amplitude?
amplitude? There we
How
go.
busy they are.
Amplitude. There are people with a very, very low amplitude of peaks and valleys, but your amplitude is elevated. So I believe that you have the experience and mindset to inform other people uniquely through understanding their story and encourage them to apply the strengths that you have to their story, can get to that higher amplitude. You can elevate people.
Yeah, and I think we.
That was good.
I think a lot of this is.
Voice to text that.
I think a lot of this is conditioning of we've been maybe told or given these subliminal messages that our bodies aren't capable, right? But
No, I think
our bodies are pretty amazing, and that
it's the blessing of being a successful society. You don't have to.
right, but there's also a bit of conditioning there of you don't have to.
Well, yeah, if it
And
becomes popular not to.
It's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
So don't do it because it's gonna be hard.
Well, and from that message is one of trying to comfort the other person. It's not trying to make them smaller or reduce their amplitude, but if they knew it was reducing their amplification,
Yeah.
Amplitude.
Reducing their amplitude, yeah.
they wouldn't do it. So people like us, and what is becoming popular nowadays, Rogan, Huberman, Rich Roll, even, like, those are all humans that have that call on people to amplify themselves because they did, and now people are listening to them.
One of the things calling on people to find those edges. Where are you limiting yourself? Where are you seeking comfort in places that a lot of times it's not necessary to seek comfort.
And my belief is that we have a superhuman ability, a supernatural ability to forecast our future self, to envision a future self, to theorize someone that you evolve into. Mm-hmm. And you can either act on that or not. And when you don't, this is depression. That's depression. And psychologically, we've come up with book-long explanations of why someone feels that way, when I think it's just that simple. You have a vision of yourself, and you're not meeting that vision of yourself through contradictory choices. And now you need help moving to complementary choices. So who do you consult? You consult people who have done that, who have moved from contradictory choices to complementary ones. How? How did you go from sitting on the couch eating Doritos to Biggest Loser winner? Because there's, that's popular. That's right. People are attracted to that story.
Because they found someone who could coach them to that space where they could find that next. What is this next thing I'm capable of? Okay, can I not eat the Doritos while I'm sitting and watching TV? Can I go for a walk instead of sitting and watching TV for half an hour? Can I? And it's constant. I think at a certain point, it's just finding what's that next little
Right, but what
edge.
kickstarts that mindset? What kickstarted it for you?
Realizing where I wanted to be in 50 years.
So it is that big, long, far out Olympic gold medal goal.
Yeah, there's that realizing the person that I want to be when
But it's within your grasp. It's within your potential.
right, that person that I want to be there. I thought of that, but then I thought, okay, what do I need to do now? I didn't think I want to be that person at that point. I thought, okay, well, who do I need to be today?
Yeah, but you still having that 10-year
Yes.
goal
Who do I need to be today?
is fun to think about too. And people,
Right.
I don't think people authorize themselves to do it.
Who I need to be today influences who I can be tomorrow, who influences who I can be in 5 years, 10 years, 50 years down the road.
Well, and in that exercise, where you do think that far ahead, now you're clarifying things you're thinking about too. If you're not, if that future doesn't have, I don't know, kids in it, you have a different series of steps. If that future does have kids in it and you're not in a relationship, now you have
Somewhere to
other
focus.
things to focus on. So
Right, and why?
when someone doesn't take the time, the self-care time to just sit and be with themselves, inside their own story for a little while. If it's breath work in the morning, if it's a run, if it's swimming in the pool, if it's even reading a book. Like I'll daydream, I'll be reading a book, but I'll catch a bit of their story and think, oh, I could do something like that. And I'll go off on my own self development from something. Instead, and I think we're guilty of it too, is we plug in. We plug into someone else's story and we ooh and ah.
Yeah,
Oh,
or we
wow.
don't consider
Oh, that's cool.
how we could be writing our own story. Mm-hmm. That's another practice that I've developed and like want to guide people in is that vision, that those values, that vision, where we're still working on that stuff of what is our vision. Yeah, it's on our walls. This isn't the only thing that's written on the walls.
For people just listening, literally on the wall in between us, I've written in crayon, Memory Millionaires, your guides on your path to wealthy through experience. When I think that's already changing, like as we're talking now. I think the H2L, complementary and contradictory future self, is the Memory Millionaires. Future self, contradictory, complementary, trademarks.
What?
They came from you.
Yeah, what I've done is I have my values. I have a vision that's worked out for myself. I have a list of things that I want to accomplish by a certain age. Well, then when I look at that list, I can say, ooh, I'm not on track for this goal, right? What do I need to do to get myself on track? And I have shorter term goals written down in certain places. Like my goal for 2024 is to do this. My goal for the next month is to take as many naps and eat as much nice ice cream as possible. Not really.
Where's that written?
The naps, yes.
Take as many naps as possible.
But like, am I setting myself up each day that I can take a nap? Today?
See, in order for you to take, just hearing that makes me think, this is maybe even a side tangent that's personal, but that adds to my dilemma of like, how much can I apply myself to any one thing if I want to be the person that makes sure you can take all the, like I'll take the boys and go do a thing, or well, yeah, that's how I enable a nap. As I
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is I have that list of goals of the experiences I want to have, and then I check into those, you know, but not often, but enough that I can see, okay, I'm not on the right trajectory for this. And part of all of that is living every experience. That is part of those 50 goals I have, is experience all the things. Hard things, complicated conversations, you know, the joyous moments, the deaths, the births, the celebrations, the having to end a friendship, you know, whatever, quit a job, start a new job, whatever those things are coming. I don't want to dull those down. I want to experience them, because when it comes up, it's not likely that I'm going to get the chance to experience the same thing again.
I think this also applies to when you think of yourself in the past. What would your current self say to your past self? Don't worry, keep going. You become me. If
Yeah.
you keep doing what you're doing, it's all going to be fine. You become me.
Like I do this, and I think a lot of people do this, is they start to turn over something they've done that wasn't the right decision, or they said the wrong thing, or why did I do this way?
Yeah, it's self-defense. It's
Yeah.
good. It's a good thing.
And
Keeps you alive most of the time.
right, that's one of those, maybe it's not a big valley, but it still might be the little dip that is informing the next time a situation comes up like that. Oh, I'm going to make sure I don't do this, or
You
I
okay?
don't say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that just some reflux?
Yeah.
Too much ice cream?
Maybe. But
Yes. What you do in the valleys informs the peaks. What you do in the valleys not informs, but forms the peak. If nothing happens, if you go stagnant, there's no rebound, there's no recovery. But if you can recognize that you went as far up as you were before that valley, you can do that again at least.
yeah, and like I was mentioned when I was talking about contractions. When you're in that valley, that uncomfortable place,
Birth is life.
can you find comfort there?
The valley?
Can you find something in that instance to help you focus on
This is Viktor Frankl.
what's coming?
Have you listened to or read Man's Search for Meaning?
No.
This is
So
Logotherapy.
finding the comfort in your discomfort. Well, maybe the only comfort you have is there's no way life could possibly get any worse than this. Okay, that's something, right? But if all we look at in those valleys and that discomfort is the discomfort and the pain and the suffering, those challenges just become insurmountable. But if you take that as, okay, this is going to be a
And you-
learning opportunity for what comes next. This is going to give me that leap into the next thing. Okay, this experience is going to prepare me for working with this type of person. Then you have turned what could be a contradictory event into something that's going to complement you in the future.
that's the Stoic philosophy.
That's it. I think that's it.
What's it?
We're done.
Oh, okay. Wait, don't go. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and share via review or post how this episode complemented your life.
Thank you for listening. Connect with us on Instagram or Facebook at Memory Millionaires.
Be well.